wanted to talk to the task force too, but he also had trouble getting through.
Brasso City Police, love calls to signs recorded.
Good morning. Don't say anything, just listen. Where are the people that are causing the killing in your area? Look on the terror card. It says, call me God.
Sir, I need to refer you to that Montgomery County Police hotline. We're not investigating the crime. Would you like the number?
Further complicating the situation, other callers were also taking credit for the crimes. The real sniper got lost in the shuffle.
They got desperate for law enforcement to accept that they were the killers when they called, so they brought up a shooting in Montgomery, Alabama, and asked us to look into that shooting.
It was you gotta believe me, I'm the sniper, and here's how you can tell I'm the sniper.
I immediately called Montgomery, Alabama, and I asked if anyone handled a situation at an ABC store, and he said yes, we had a robbery, homicide.
The liquor store shooting was unsolved, and the gun used in the crime was not a Bushmaster. The DC sniper didn't rob his victims. There didn't seem to be a connection. On October the 19th, Jeff and Stephanie Hopper were driving to their home in Florida. When they pulled off the interstate highway some 150 kilometers south of Washington to fill up their car and have dinner, they thought they were out of the danger zone.
They were walking out of the Ponderosa restaurant together after a nice dinner, and they were holding hands.
They heard a gun report. It took a moment before Jeff realized he had been shot in the abdomen. His wife struggled to unlock her cell phone to call for help. It took 5 operations over 18 days to save Jeff's life. In the woods near the restaurant, an ATF dog found a bullet casing and a note tacked to a tree. The note was tucked inside a Ziploc bag. But the sniper left vital evidence.
There was DNA on the Ziploc bag that the note was contained in. It's actually one of the ways in which law enforcement can pick up DNA is with the Ziploc mechanism that draws the DNA from the fingers as you do that.
The DNA, however, didn't match anything in the FBI's national database. However, the note was intriguing.
For you, Mr. Police, call me God.
And then it went on to make demands, very specific demands of what was expected of law enforcement to make the killings end.
The sniper wanted $10 million deposited in a bank account.
Once I heard that they were looking for really an exorbitant amount of money, I really felt very confident that we were going to get them.
The sniper also wrote that at 6 a.m. he would call the restaurant where Jeffrey Hopper had been shot.
We missed the time cutoff because of the DNA analysis.
So Chief Moose went out with a very specific communication in a press conference following the discovery of what was on the note.
To the person who left us a message at the Ponderosa last night, we do want to talk to you. Call us at the number you provided. Thank you.
On the morning of October the 21st, the call came. Finally, the police and the sniper were in direct contact.
Is this the Ponderosa?
Who is this?
Don't say anything. Just listen.
The voice on the phone told the police to follow the demands from the note, or more people would be killed. They were to tell the press that the sniper had been caught like a duck in a noose. It ended with a chilling warning. P.S. Your children are not safe. The call was tracked to a petrol station. 33 minutes later, 2 men were arrested. One was driving a white panel truck. But these men were simply 2 illegal immigrants near the phone at the wrong time. The task force regrouped and focused on the strange wording in the sniper's last message.
You caught the sniper like a duck in a noose. We didn't know what that meant when we first read it. We all looked at each other cross-eyed and didn't know what those words meant.
The sniper's note mentioned the Alabama shooting once again. A second call to Montgomery revealed more information. A magazine had been dropped at the crime scene. It had a fingerprint on it, but local officials said they had not processed the print. The magazine was immediately flown to Washington.
And lo and behold, the fingerprint matches Lee Boyd Malvo.
Lee Boyd Malvo was a 17-year-old from Jamaica. He had been fingerprinted by immigration officials in Bellingham, Washington.
So that gave us basically an individual and a face to a fingerprint.
Police were convinced that the teenager had an accomplice.
If we could just have 24 hours with this information before the media gets a hold of it, that we could catch them. But if this were to leak, they would be in the wind and probably not surface for a very long time.
Just as police felt they were hot on their trail, the snipers struck again.
They came back and they hit us once again in the heart of Montgomery County on October 22nd.
Conrad Johnson, a bus driver, was the next victim.
He was shot and killed as he was at the front steps of his bus ready to do his route.
At the scene, a new message had been tacked to a tree.
Your incompetence has cost you another life.
The police were determined to turn this incompetence into an arrest. They had a fingerprint, a photograph, and a name: Lee Boyd Malvo. He was born in Jamaica. An immigration report revealed a custody battle between his mother and a man named John Muhammad. Muhammad had helped Malvo and his mother enter the United States illegally from the Caribbean. John Muhammad and Lee Malvo became friends, often passing themselves off as father and son. In Tacoma, FBI agents played the tapes of the sniper for Muhammad's friend, Robert Holmes.
Hello?
He was a longtime friend of John Muhammad's from the Army. They confided in each other.
Who is this?
Don't say anything. Just listen.
Robert had called the tip line 5 days earlier, but failed to get through. He recognized the voice as Lee Malvo, a kid who hung out with Muhammad. He also gave the agents a possible motive.
He knew that John Muhammad was devastated when he lost his children to Mildred.
Mildred was John Muhammad's ex-wife. When Muhammad had threatened to kill her, she moved to the Washington, D.C. area with their children. Robert Holmes led the agents to a tree stump in his backyard that Malvo and Muhammad had used for target practice. Back in Maryland, the task force was closing in on their suspects.
We ended up getting the tag number, which was a New Jersey plate, description of the vehicle listed to Mr. Muhammad.
We knew we were looking for a blue Chevy Caprice with New Jersey tags, and we realized we were looking for at least 2 or more individuals.
We're keeping our fingers crossed that this is the right thing.
Whitney Donahue repaired industrial refrigerators for a living. He had been working late on October the 24th in Virginia.
At about 11:30, I decided to go home. I got my van started on the Route 66.
Home was a couple of long, dark hours away. To stay awake, he turned on the radio.
We are looking for a blue Chevy Caprice with New Jersey tags NDA.
Whitney had owned a Chevy Caprice, so he knew exactly what he was looking for.
I started scanning the cars as I went in towards the Beltway. And then I got on Route 70 and decided to stop at the rest area on South Mountain. And as I turned in, I seen the Caprice. It was dark blue. And then as I came on in, I could see the front tag, and it was what I had written down, and I pulled in right directly across in front of them. Picked up my cell phone and called 911.
The noose was about to tighten around the necks of what were now a pair of sitting ducks. Through good police work, some lucky breaks, and a tip from an observant member of the public, the task force hunting the DC sniper were about to make the arrest. This would end a 21-day reign of terror. Tactical teams prepared for a shootout.
These are the same individuals who trained together and worked together for the prior 2.5 to 3 weeks. They planned the takedown, they got in the wood line, and they executed. I remember looking down at Malvo and seeing beads of sweat on his forehead, and this is October, it was cool, and he didn't say a word. And I looked down, walked over to John Muhammad, and I saw his face. He was angry. It was a quick operation, and everybody knew we had them, and everybody was relieved, and everybody was glad it was over.
I was extremely tired, both physically and psychologically.
But as exhausted as he was, there was one thing Barney Forsyth had to do.
I stopped actually by the school where my wife Marcia works, called her out of her classroom and put my arms around her. I said, "We got him." And I said, "You can't tell anybody right now because it hadn't been released, but we got him."
We are gathered to share some information with regards to a sniper situation that has been occurring in the Washington metropolitan area.
At approximately 1 o'clock a.m. today, a motorist called 911 to report seeing a 1990 Chevy Caprice.
And I was home at the time watching the news, and my kids were there, and they were, jumping up and down. Does this mean we're going to have recess again?
We can at least say that there's some family that's going to be together tonight because we've got it done.
For several days, Lee Boyd Malvo remained silent. But finally, Detective June Boyle got him to talk.
Would you like some juice, maybe, or some fruit, or some salad?
He was hungry. He wanted a veggie burger, and that started the process. We sent out for a veggie burger, 2 of them, in fact, and some water. Once he started eating and talking, everything just flowed pretty well.
Malvo told her that he would fast before killing because it improved his aim.
He just was bragging about how they had planned to do 5 killings in one day. He said because he knew the police couldn't handle it.
He gave details of each killing. In the Franklin shooting, he said he aimed at Ted Franklin first.
And Linda Franklin moved to the back of the car. He said it only took him 2 seconds. He locked onto her and shot her. He pointed to his head, laughed about it, said it was a great shot.
Malvo began to open up slowly, revealing information about his relationship with John Allen Muhammad.
He referred to Muhammad as sometimes his best friend, sometimes his father, but they were very tight. Everything they did together. He and John Muhammad trained shooting out in the state of Washington, and he talked about that. They would shoot. He said we taught each other everything.
Today, many investigators believe the killing spree was a twisted plot by John Muhammad to kill his ex-wife and get his children back.
I think it's very plausible that he intended to kill her and make her one of the random victims.
John Muhammad had hatred. He was involved, I think when they finally put it all together at the end, there was between 24 and 26 shootings throughout this nation that were involved by both of these individuals. He taught hatred to Lee Boyd Malvo.
In 2004, John Allen Muhammad was sentenced to death by a Virginia court. He is appealing that verdict. 17-year-old Lee Boyd Malvo received a life sentence. 2 years later,